structure pour l'équipe de la rédaction avec Priscilla Sadien, Patrick Hilbert au micro pour la suite. Je vous dis à tout à l'heure. C'est à vous les amis.
Bonjour Néla, bonjour à tous. Merci vous pouvez rejoindre nous pour la première PNQ de cette année. Mon coéquipier ce matin, Patrick Hilbert, bonjour.
Bonjour Priscilla.
PNQ, leader de l'opposition, accède au dossier Chagos. Joe Lejonga questionne Premier ministre. Léoulé connaît côte ban négociation fin arrivée avec Royaume-Uni, le deal Chagos. Bizarre rappelle qu'il y a une délégation mauricienne dirigée par l'Attorney General Gavin Glover tial Royaume-Uni à la suite de la contre-proposition de Navin Ramgoolam. Et à notre tour, le 19 janvier, Gavin Glover dit qu'il y a une discussion avec Royaume-Uni fin abouti à la rédaction d'un document final. Mais ça l'accord le rétrocession Chagos là. Bisa gagne l'aval nouvelle administration américaine dirigée par Donald Trump, président des États-Unis. Patrick Hilbert.
Tout à fait, Priscilla. Le challenge, justement, concernant sa deal au Chagos, c'est de convaincre les États-Unis qui est très sceptique par rapport à sa deal-là. D'ailleurs, pour une réunion cruciale entre le ministre des Affaires étrangères britannique David Lammy et Marco Rubio, secrétaire d'État américain, qui est l'équivalent du ministère des Affaires étrangères, mais pour l'Amérique. Sa rencontre-là, elle est prévue en marge de la conférence de Munich en Allemagne, la sécurité qui pourrait avoir lieu du 14 au 16 février, Priscilla. Au niveau de la presse britannique, je qualifie sa rencontre-là déjà comme la réunion de la dernière chance. On nous rappelle qu'il y a déjà un accord politique, la rétrocession Chagos entre Royaume-Uni et Maurice le 3 octobre dernier, par l'ancien gouvernement, mais Navin Ramgoolam, lorsqu'il y a une révine Premier ministre, fin dire qu'il y a plusieurs éléments qui peuvent jouer en faveur de Maurice. Donc, le nouveau gouvernement il demande la révision de 3 points qu'il y juge importants, c'est-à-dire le montant de l'allocation annuelle de Diego Garcia. Presse britannique fin donne un chiffre, Priscilla, de environ 90 millions de livres sterling par an, donc c'est-à-dire à peu près 5 milliards de roupies selon le taux de change du jour, par an pour un bail initial de 90 ans, le Diego Garcia. Ce montant, cependant, n'a pas été confirmé officiellement ni par le gouvernement britannique ni par le gouvernement mauricien. Le gouvernement mauricien aussi demande de revoir le wording de l'accord du 3 octobre qui peut dire comme ça, je cite, le Royaume-Uni sera autorisé à exercer à l'égard de Diego Garcia les droits souverains et les autorités de Maurice nécessaires pour garantir la poursuite du fonctionnement de la base bien au-delà du prochain siècle. Le nouveau gouvernement mauricien, donc Navin Ramgoolam, il dit comme ça, les caves undermine la souveraineté de Maurice sur les Chagos, donc il n'est pas d'accord avec ce wording qui c'est le Royaume-Uni qui exercera les droits souverains de Maurice sur Diego Garcia, donc il demande qui clairement d'un nouveau accord indiquer que c'est Maurice qui peut pleinement souverain aux Chagos et sur Diego Garcia. Troisième point, c'est la durée du bail, qui selon le deal du 3 octobre de 99 ans renouvelable. Donc là aussi, le gouvernement mauricien demande de revoir cette durée-là du bail. Mm-hmm. À Maurice, comme en Grande-Bretagne, nous sommes maintenant cautieusement optimistes que l'Amérique pour finit par donner ce feu vert. L'Amérique a une crainte que Maurice capable de laisser une puissance étrangère faire un travail d'espionnage par rapport à la base de Diego Garcia, mais Maurice il donne toute bonne garantie nécessaire pour qu'il ne soit pas arrivé. Pas plus tard que vendredi dernier, il y a une conversation, Priscilla, entre Navin Ramgoolam et ce qui est le Premier ministre britannique, Lo Chagos, que c'est un fin de souligner la nécessité d'un accord pour garantir la base militaire de Diego Garcia en assurant de solides protections, notamment contre toute influence malveillante. Nous avons noté aussi que tout reste entre les mains de l'Amérique.
Alors, et au menu, Patrick Hilbert, de la première séance questions-réponses parlementaires de cette année, l'affaire des écoutes téléphoniques, la sécheresse, l'émergence de nouvelles drogues dangereuses ou encore la gestion de fonds publics. Premier ministre Navin Ramgoolam pour interpeller plusieurs dossiers, les pour question aussi du nombre de personnes qui finissent bénéficier d'une grâce de la part de la Commission on the Prerogative of Mercy de 2015 à 2024.
Tout à fait, Priscilla. Donc, c'est le député travailliste Raviraj Bichuk qui vous donne le coup d'envoi avec une question l'Urban Special Purpose Vehicles.
Alors, peut-être nous pour interrompre Patrick Hilbert pour nous prendre tout de suite la direction de l'Assemblée nationale.
Announcements done. Papers have been laid. Questions?
Yes, Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've given notice of the following PNQ address to the Honourable Prime Minister, whether in regard to the exercise of sovereignty by Mauritius over the Chagos archipelago, he will state where matters stand as to the negotiations for an agreement with the United Kingdom.
Speaker, let me first of all thank the Honourable Leader of the Opposition for giving me the opportunity to clarify matters on this issue, because lots of rumours are also going on. As the House is aware, on the eve of the dissolution of the National Assembly, that is on the 3rd of October of last year, Mauritius and the United Kingdom issued a joint statement confirming that after 13 rounds of negotiations, they had reached a political agreement on the exercise of sovereignty over the Chagos archipelago. Madam Speaker, immediately after I became Prime Minister, I received a letter from the British Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Sir Keir Starmer, informing me that he proposes to send his special envoy, Mr. Jonathan Powell, to Mauritius to discuss these matters. I had a meeting on the 15th of November 2024 with local officials in order to take stock of the status of the negotiations between Mauritius and the United Kingdom. And because since the contents of the negotiations, which had taken place, that is, since November 2022, were unknown to the new government, absolutely unknown. So I immediately asked for an independent review of the confidential draft agreement that we had just been made aware of. This is why I asked also that Mr. Jonathan Powell delays his arrival in Mauritius so I have time to look at what was in the document. Madam Speaker, the British Prime Minister sent his political envoy, Mr. Jonathan Powell, to meet with me on the 25th of November 2024. And he briefed me on the situation to date. And I had told him that we were a bit surprised that the agreement was made on the eve of the dissolution of Parliament. We in the opposition were not aware of anything, and only what we could see, what was happening in the House of Commons. Anyway, following the completion, I said I have to look at the document, analyze it, and see what's in it. Following the completion of the independent review, the opinion submitted by the legal advisors was considered by an interministerial committee chaired by me and comprising the Deputy Prime Minister, the Attorney General, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Regional Integration and International Trade. Madam Speaker, following the letter which the British Prime Minister addressed to me on the 12th of November 2024, and the meeting which I had with Mr. Jonathan Powell, a delegation of senior officials from the United Kingdom came to Mauritius from the 9th to the 12th of December 2024 for discussions with the Mauritian authorities. Apart from meetings which were held between senior officials, that is from Mauritius and the UK, the head of the UK delegation also called upon me. During the discussions, Mauritius made it clear that while it was still willing to conclude an agreement with the United Kingdom, the draft agreement which was shown to us after the general elections is one which, in our view, would not produce the benefits that the nation could expect from such an agreement. Mauritius accordingly submitted counter-proposals to the United Kingdom so that an agreement which is in the best interest of Mauritius can be concluded. The response of the United Kingdom to our counter-proposals was received on the 16th of December 2024, and these counter-proposals were again considered by the Interministerial Committee, which I just mentioned. Therefore, on the 31st of December 2024. Mauritius submitted its response to the United Kingdom and suggested that parties meet in London in January 2025. A delegation led by the Attorney General proceeded to the United Kingdom to discuss the issues which were raised by us. The talks reached an advanced stage, and the Attorney General returned earlier than expected to brief me. As a result, a special cabinet meeting was called on the 15th of January 2025 to discuss the progress made. However, early on that day, before the cabinet meeting, we were informed by the United Kingdom that in view of the imminent change in the administration in the United States of America, they would look for the views of the new administration before signing the agreement between Mauritius and the United Kingdom on the Chagos archipelago. Notwithstanding this unilateral decision of the United Kingdom to postpone matters, a Mauritius delegation, led again by the Attorney General, went to the United Kingdom for further discussions with the UK in London on the 16th and 17th of January, as was planned. When the Attorney General met with his British counterpart, Lord Hermer, and the Under Secretary of State, Stephen Doughty, they both assured him on the commitment of the UK government to signing the agreement between Mauritius and the United Kingdom. At that stage, Mauritius and the United Kingdom had the final agreement ready to be signed. The Attorney General has kept in touch with the Foreign Office, and we are awaiting developments on the UK side. Madam Speaker, I've had a telephone conversation last Friday with the British Prime Minister on the way forward. He rang me, and the British Prime Minister informed me that he intends to push ahead with the agreement reached between Mauritius and the United Kingdom on the Chagos archipelago. We remain confident that it will reach a speedy resolution in the coming weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Having listened to the Honourable Prime Minister, I believe we understand that the stark reality is that, as at today, we do not have an agreement with the UK government. On avait cru voir la lumière au bout du tunnel avec l'accord du 3 octobre de l'année dernière, mais j'ai comme l'impression que cette lumière est en train de s'éteindre. Can I ask the Honourable Prime Minister, because he mentioned that in his statement he made to the House on the 17th December last year, and he mentioned that also in his reply, that he had received response from the UK government with regard to counter-proposals that our government made. Can the Honourable Prime Minister provide the House with details of the counter-proposal?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, I thought the leader of the... First of all, let me say something, because he made reference to it, that the light was darkening or whatever. The agreement that the former Prime Minister agreed with the UK was a sellout. We could not agree to it. We would never agree to it. That is something that must be clear. That is why, although we signed it. We didn't agree with it. It was so bad, I don't want to go into the details, but if you ask me, I will, that we said, no way. Sovereignty was the biggest issue. It had to be unambiguous, undiluted, that we have full sovereignty, not only on the Chagos, but including Diego Garcia. That was not in the agreement. The second point, the agreement was for an agreement for 99 years, and then unilaterally, the British would decide on an extension of that agreement for 40 years. We had no say in it. We disagreed completely. It cannot be that an agreement is signed for 99 years, and then the British on their own would decide they will renew the agreement. We have no say in it. We totally disagreed with this. We said, no, we have to have a say. Both parties must be able to discuss. And thirdly, the agreement, the package that was negotiated, that was the third issue, was very badly negotiated. So that is why we said, no, we have to renegotiate. and see whether we can come to an agreement. And I'm confident that we'll come to an agreement. I must say something else, Madam Speaker. I said in my answer that unilaterally the British decided that they will want now to wait for President Trump to become president. I must say the Deputy Prime Minister, many times, I also supported that why are we afraid of President Trump coming to as if he will tear the agreement? We find that, in fact, it was a bit better, let him have a look. If it's a good agreement, why would he not agree? Let us see. So that is the situation, Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Want another bite?
Yes, of course. The Honourable Prime Minister raised two issues which is still under discussion. Three issues, actually. The first one is with regard to sovereignty. The second one is with regard to the duration of the lease. And the third one is with regard to the financial package being proposed by the UK government. With regard to the first one, can I ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether there has been changes concerning the exercise of sovereign rights granted on Diego Garcia and the conditions attached to?
Yes, indeed, there have been changes. The British agreed. We insisted that the sovereignty issue is the crucial issue, is the most important, not the financial package, but the sovereignty issue. This is a battle that started long ago. Now we are about to reach it. We insisted that it be clear that we have complete sovereignty on the Chagos, including Jago. That the British agreed to, and this has been changed.
So we understand that this has been changed. With regard to the duration of the lease, is it still 99 years now or less than 99 years?
Maybe he's not aware because all this was done in secrecy. Even the officials, Madam Speaker, were not aware what the agreement was. They went to London, but they were asked to leave the room. Only the former Prime Minister and the British Prime Minister spoke. And this is why the deal is like what it is. He had agreed to 99 years plus an extension where the British would decide themselves that they want to extend the lease and we would have to accept. This also we disagreed. We said, no, 99 years, okay. Reluctantly, okay, we agreed. But not on the extension. The extension has to be agreed with both parties. It cannot be unilateral from the British. And I'm glad to inform the Leader of the Opposition that also the British have agreed.
So this is good news, Honourable Prime Minister. Now, may I ask the Prime Minister with regard to the financial support given by the government of the UK, first to Mauritius and second to the Chagosians. Have we finalized also on that issue?
I'm not in a position to give details, but let me say something. That package was very badly negotiated. I can't understand how. It seems somebody who didn't know mathematics had negotiated, who didn't know that inflation existed, that had negotiated. They had agreed to a package that for 99 years, but not inflation-proof. But no, the exchange rate, because it's in dollars, the exchange rate would be fixed once and then on the last in the 99 years. How can that be? Any ordinary sixth form, fifth form student would agree that inflation exists. We have to be inflation-proof. What's the point of getting money and then having half of it by the end? This is what would happen. We have made the calculation. So that also we did not agree, and we wanted also front-loading. Some of the money had to be front-loaded, and that also is being agreed to, I think.
So do I understand from the Honourable Prime Minister that now all issues have been cleared and we have an agreement with the government of UK?
That is not what the Prime Minister said, as far as I can hear. But Prime Minister, please, maybe you want to reply.
You're absolutely right, Madam Speaker. I explained that We had come to this agreement, ready to sign on that basis. But as we had said ourselves, the Deputy Prime Minister repeatedly said that President Trump is not a wolf. Let him see if the agreement is good or not good. And we also agreed. Now the British, late in the day, decided that yes, it's better to let the new administration have a look. And this is what the situation is.
Il est peut-être déguisé en loup. Il est peut-être déguisé en loup.
I'll get to President Trump later, Madam Speaker. Can I ask the Honorable Prime Minister whether Mr. Olivier Bancoult, the President of the Chagos Refugee Group, has been regularly briefed on discussions on the agreement and whether he had attended meetings chaired by the Honorable Prime Minister?
First of all, let me say that he was briefed, both by myself and the Deputy Prime Minister. I saw him even recently. And again, we had spoken because he was also wondering what was happening. But he was not in the meeting. The meeting, the British decided it would be Mauritius government and the UK government.
Now, since I've mentioned Olivier Bancoult and the Chagos Refugee Group, will the Honorable Prime Minister be able to inform the House whether, with regard to resettlement and financial compensations for the Chagosians, we have reached an agreement on that issue, that is resettlement of the Chagosians on the archipelago?
We have, Madam Speaker, also there's a special fund which has been earmarked just for the Chagosians. That also is there. That was negotiation before, it is still the same. But we have also, I must also say to the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, I'm going to the African Union meeting that is being held in Addis. I have asked Mr. Bancoult to accompany me because we need to tell our African brothers what is happening about the lost decolonization in Mauritius.
Yeah, let me ask a question in relation to what you have just said. You have had a phone conversation with the Honourable Prime Minister of the UK. President Trump now is in office. Do we have a time frame with regard to the issue of Chagos now?
Madam Speaker, the President has just been elected, the American President. I'm not in a position to impose a timetable on him. He will have to look at it when he has other issues at the moment, just like we had at the very beginning, we're still having. And we will then start the negotiations or whatever.
Honourable Prime Minister, in your reply, you stated that there has been an independent review of the draft agreement by a team of legal advisors. Can you inform the House, the person comprising that team?
Yes. The person, it was, of course, there was the Attorney General. Then there's a former Solicitor General, Mr. Luren Debi, was present. There was Mr. Milan Mitorban, who is a constitutionalist lawyer who knows about the problem of Chagos. There was also the civil servants from the firm, Mrs. Martin, who knows Chagos. But for legal team, specifically yours for legal team, there was the legal team here, but also I took international expert from a firm called Withers. They were advising because they know also of the problem. Remember, I'm the one who took Mr. Brownlee, QC, as the first barrister to look at Chagos. And then I'm the one who took Mr. engaged Mr. Philip Sands to continue the negotiation. So that is what we're doing.
Since you mentioned Professor Sands, can you inform the House whether he still forms part of the legal team?
We've had, I think the Attorney General had a meeting with him, but no, he's not in the legal team. We have to have a new legal team. Professor Sands was part of the team which made the previous deal. So we are looking at it with a pair of fresh eyes.
Madam Speaker, I've put this question because Professor Sens have been dealing with this case since 2008, and as you said, you appointed him. And I understand that in this situation that the Honorable Prime Minister mentioned, Professor Sens was not informed that his services were no more required and that there was no proper handing over between Professor Sens and the new legal team.
In fact, may I tell the Honourable Leader of the Opposition that Professor Sen's contract expired on the 31st of December 2024. After that, I wrote a letter to him to thank him for his services and to keep in touch.
The honourable member from, fourth member from Port Louis North has asked. Otherwise, he won't have time because time is almost up.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Speaker, may I ask the Prime Minister? He mentioned 2 delegations going early January. May we know the composition of both delegations, the first delegation and the second delegation that went to London?
There was, as I said, there was the Attorney General, the former Solicitor General, Mr. Mitaban. I think Martin was in the first one, but not in the second one. That's it.
Okay. Yes, time is
Please, I'll make
almost
fast.
up. Yes.
Madam Speaker, the UK Foreign Secretary, in a statement to the House of Commons on the 7th of October, he said the following, that with regard to this agreement, a treaty and a bill will be submitted to the UK Parliament for scrutiny. May I ask the Honourable Prime Minister to inform the House as to the way forward for Mauritius once an agreement is reached between Mauritius and the UK? Will it be, as it is in the UK, scrutinised by Parliament?
Should have asked this question to the former Prime Minister. Why did he come to an agreement all in catimony and nobody knew about it? Nobody knew.
You have not answered my question. Can I ask the Honourable Prime Minister to inform the House in the event that no agreement is reached or that President Trump and the US are not favourable to Mauritius obtaining sovereignty over the Chagos archipelago, what will be his next course of action?
Let us not cross the bridge before we reach the bridge. Let us reach the bridge and then we'll cross it.
I think that is the end of that very important issue. Okay, so now we move to questions to the Honourable Prime Minister. Honourable members, the table has been advised that PQB9 will be...
Et voilà donc pour cette séance de la PNQ du leader de l'opposition Joe Lejongar axé le dossier Chagos. Joe Lejongar qui fait une question Premier ministre. L'ITPOLE connaît coup de négociation fin arrivé avec Royaume-Uni le deal Chagos. Navin Ramgoulam dit qu'il c'est l'occasion pour lui pour clarifier ban chose parce qu'il finit a beaucoup de rumeurs. Il fin revin le précédent deal qu'il fin fait avec l'ancien Premier ministre. Donc Navin Pravin Jagnat et elle y fait un rappel un petit peu donc les 13 rounds de négociation qui finissent et par la suite finissent la contre-proposition de Maurice parce qu'évidemment donc Navin Ramgoulam pas fin d'accord avec l'ancien deal qui fin fait avec l'ancien régime. Il fin rappelle donc que l'Attorney General en janvier 2025 finale au Royaume-Uni et l'IPEDIA récemment donc vendredi dernier il fin gagne un appel téléphonique, il fin gagne une conversation téléphonique avec le Premier ministre britannique Keir Starmer. Navin Ramgoulam a dit qu'il est confiant qu'il pourrait y avoir une speedy resolution, donc une résolution rapide dans les semaines à venir. Joe Lejongar dit qu'il y croit, qu'il trouve la lumière au bout du tunnel, l'eau de Chagos, mais selon lui, la lumière pétaille. Et Navin Ramgoolam fin répond que l'accord avec l'ancien Premier ministre, c'était un sell-out. Il fin revient l'auban point de désaccord. Question fondamentale, il dit c'est souveraineté. Maurice Bizin gagne full souveraineté l'eau Chagos sans ambiguïté. Et parmi les autres points de désaccord, il dit by 99 ans renouvelé pour une période de 40 ans. Il dit aussi qu'ils sont pas d'accord avec le package. Et il peut dire mais qui fait Bizin père Donald Trump? Jolie Jonga pose une question en cours, la question de souveraineté. Et Navin Ramgoolam, Patrick Hilbert, fin dire qui finena d'accord donc avec le gouvernement britannique. Donc fin arrive à un accord final.
Donc oui, voilà, donc il dit aussi par rapport à Saman point de désaccord, donc le bail de 99 ans, son grief c'est qu'il, dans l'accord du 3 octobre, donc fin négocié par Pravin Jagnat, tu dis comme ça, l'accord, un bail de 99 ans, ça point là, Maurice est d'accord, le nouveau gouvernement est d'accord, mais seulement le Royaume-Uni est capable étendre l'île de manière unilatéralement pour 40 ans. Donc ça, il peut dire c'est pas possible. Donc, pas capable qui Maurice, même pas capable de négocier, les pénales n'en y a fait là-dedans. Le Royaume-Uni peut décider par lui-même d'étendre unilatéralement. Donc ça, voilà, fin demandé pour revoir. Donc ça, le Royaume-Uni est d'accord d'ailleurs pour revoir ce point-là. Sur le package financier, pour la location de Ligo Garcia et les autres points financiers, il peut dire que c'était very badly negotiated. Donc très mal négocié, donc il fin renégocier ce point-là. Donc là aussi, le Royaume-Uni fin d'accord là. Donc ce qui arrive à un point, David Ramgoolam peut dire que l'agreement is ready to sign. Mais seulement, bien sûr, il y a le président américain, donc parce que le Britannique fin dire dernier qui, voilà, nous tout trop près avec l'intronisation de Donald Trump, donc bizarre sur l'accord aussi. David Ramgoolam peut dire donc voilà, Trump n'est pas un loup. Let him see if he agrees or not. Après, on verra ce qu'on va faire. Donc là, tout est entre les mains de Donald Trump, donc c'est à lui de voir qu'est-ce qui se passe. Donc, Jolie Jonga, il dit comme ça, voilà, mais est-ce qu'il y a un time frame? Donc, David Ramgoolam fin répondre, non, il n'y a aucun time frame parce que Trump vient d'être élu, give him the time parce qu'il y a beaucoup de dossiers qui lui ont guetté, tout comme le nouveau gouvernement, encore toujours, il y a beaucoup de dossiers à voir. Par rapport à Jolie Jonga, il pose une question par rapport à Olivier Bancoult, le président du Chagos Refugee Group. Donc, il peut demander si Olivier Bancoult fin régulièrement briefed de développement à ce niveau-là. Donc, David Ramgoolam fin répondre qui, oui, effectivement, il fin brief régulièrement par le Premier ministre et le Deputy Prime Minister. Concernant les legal advisors, donc fin une question là du leader de l'opposition. Qui sont les legal advisors? David Ramgoolam fin dire qui c'est l'attorney general, le former solicitor général d'Irène Déby, et Milan Mitorban, donc qui est un avocat constitutionnaliste, donc ce fin à Londres pour négocier.
Et puis finalement la question de compensation.
La question de compensation, donc David Ramgoolam pas fin donne aucun détail, bien sûr, parce qu'il n'est pas capable, il n'est pas en mesure de donner un détail, donc parce que ça fait partie des négociations, donc tant que rien n'est officiel, pas capable de donner un détail précis par rapport à ça. Finalement, une question de Jolie Jonga aussi par rapport au resettlement de man Chagosien. Comme on connaît, Priscilla, c'est un point très important pour man Chagosien. Donc, le droit de retour sur les îles de l'archipel, bien sûr, sur Diego Garcia, pas pour aucun droit de retour, mais les autres îles comme à Perros Banos, donc man Chagosien qui a envie, est-ce qu'ils sont pas capables de retourner là-bas? Et puis aussi, est-ce qu'ils ont gagné un financial package, une compensation pour...
C'était la question, ouais.
Voilà, pour les souffrances qu'ils ont subies d'être enlevés de force durant les années 60 et début 70. À ce niveau-là, donc, le Premier ministre fin dire qui est dans les négociations un special fund spécialement pour les Chagossiens. Et que ça, special fund là, donc ça il reste pareil comme l'accord du 3 octobre.
Et peut-être dernier point qui finit abordé par Jolie Jonga, c'est la question de Donald Trump, encore une fois, qui finit revenir, et Navin Ramgoolam dit let's cross the bridge when we reach it. Donc par rapport à une appréhension, par rapport à la prise de position de Donald Trump, Navin Ramgoolam peut dire qu'il bizarre attendre, les bizarres guettent la cour là. Et puis sinon tout à l'heure, Patrick Gilbert au menu de la séance questions-réponses qui fait une démarrer et d'ailleurs en ce moment, il a l'affaire d'écoute téléphonique, la sécheresse, l'émergence de nouvelles drogues dangereuses ou encore la gestion de fonds publics. Premier ministre pour interpeller plusieurs dossiers. Il est aussi question de Dimoun qui fait bénéficier d'une grâce de la part de la Commission on the Prerogative of Mercy de 2015 à 2024.
Exactement, donc c'est surtout la question qui est bien intéressante d'Adrien Duval, député du PMSD, whip de l'opposition, qui pose une question sur l'existence présumée de bonnes pratiques d'écoute téléphonique. Nous connaissons, c'est une pécose Missy Moustache, donc c'est beaucoup du monde pour bien intéresser. Vous connaissez qui Navin Ramgoolam pour répondre s'il y a l'occasion, durant sa tranche de 30 minutes là, de répondre à cette question.
Et Finena aussi, donc changement, sitting arrangement pour le député Franco-Kérin qui n'est plus dans MMM.
Donc l'IFIN gagne une place au 4e rang derrière Jolie Jonga, donc dans le carré de l'opposition, mais nous a fait bien ressortir qu'il n'est pas un député de l'opposition. Donc il siège là-bas en tant que député indépendant. Et d'ailleurs c'est pour ça que la speaker décidé pour le mettre au 4e rang, pour qu'il y ait vraiment une démarcation par rapport à Adrien Duval et Jolie Jonga qui assiste au 1er rang.
En tout cas, merci beaucoup Patrick Hilbert pour ce compte-rendu de la PNQ. Merci aux auditeurs et internautes qui suivent nous pour capable suivre un large extrait de cette PNQ dans le journal de 13h qui est présenté par Douchila Mansing. À bientôt.